welcome. I am Dr. Peter Sousa, and I welcome you to the Church of New Enchantment. Today we're speaking about a question that, honestly, almost everyone who has experienced loss has wondered at some point. Can our loved ones still hear us? Maybe you have spoken to someone after they died. Perhaps you stood beside their photograph and told them about your day. Maybe you were driving and, suddenly said their name out loud. Maybe you visited their grave and talked as though they were sitting right beside you. Perhaps you whispered goodnight to them. Perhaps you told them, "I miss you. I wish you were here. I hope you know what happened. I wish I had said this differently. I hope you knew how much I loved you." And afterward, perhaps you wondered whether those words went anywhere. Did they hear me? Did they feel me thinking about them? Is there still a relationship when one person is no longer physically here? Within the Church of New Enchantment, we believe that death changes the form of a relationship, but it does not necessarily end spiritual connection. The physical conversation may stop, but love can continue speaking. One of the strangest things about grief is that the relationship continues inside us, even though the physical person is absent. You may still know exactly what they would say about something. You may still reach for the phone before remembering you cannot call them. You may hear a joke and immediately think, "They would have loved this." You may cook their recipe, wear their jewelry, keep their chair where it was, speak their name when no one else is around. This is not a failure to move on. Love does not simply disappear because a body dies. Modern culture sometimes pressures grieving people to reach a point where the dead person becomes only a memory. But, many spiritual traditions have understood something different. Our relationship with those who die can continue. It changes, it becomes quieter, it becomes less physical, but it may remain emotionally, spiritually, and sometimes mediumistically alive. You do not have to choose between grieving their absence and sensing their continued presence. The heart can hold both. When we ask whether someone in spirit can hear us, we may be imagining physical hearing. A voice travels through air. An ear receives sound. The brain interprets it. But if consciousness continues beyond the physical body, then spirit may not receive communication through physical senses in the same way we do. Communication may happen through consciousness, through intention, through emotion, through focused thought, through prayer, through memory, through spiritual awareness, through the energetic bond created by love. Within CNE, we believe intention matters. When you intentionally speak to someone in spirit, you are directing consciousness toward that relationship. You do not need elaborate words. You do not need a ritual every time. You do not need to be a professional medium. You may simply say, "I love you. I miss you. I hope you are at peace. I wish you could see this. Thank you. I am sorry. I forgive you. Please forgive me. Love itself can become a form of communication. The idea that death does not completely sever relationship is ancient. Across Hindu traditions, ancestors have long been remembered through sacred rites, offerings, prayer, and continuing bonds between generations. The physical body ends, but consciousness is understood as participating in a much larger spiritual journey. Buddhist traditions remind us that everything changes form. Impermanence does not mean meaning disappears. The relationship we had with someone changes, and our task becomes learning how to carry love without clinging to the physical form that is gone. Within Wiccan and Pagan traditions, ancestors are often honored through altars, candles, offerings, remembrance, and seasonal rituals. Samhain is especially associated with remembrance of the dead and with honoring the relationship between the living, the ancestors, and the unseen world. Spiritualist traditions have placed mediumship directly at the center of this question, teaching that communication between the living and those in spirit may remain possible. Within Esoteric Universalism, we do not need these traditions to be identical. We allow them to stand beside one another. Different paths, different language, but a recurring human intuition. Love may continue beyond physical separation. Mediumship is one of the practices we honor within the Church of New Enchantment. But healthy mediumship is not about demanding that spirit perform. It is not about summoning someone as though dialing a telephone number. It is not about forcing proof. Mediumship is listening. It is becoming still, grounding, opening carefully, recognizing subtle impressions, discernment. Sometimes information arrives as an image in the mind, sometimes as a name, sometimes as a memory that seems to arrive from nowhere, sometimes as a bodily sensation, sometimes as a feeling of presence, sometimes as words that appear suddenly within awareness. Sometimes nothing comes at all. Silence does not mean you failed, and silence does not necessarily mean the person you love is absent. Mediumship is strongest when we allow rather than chase. Dreams are one of the most common ways people describe experiencing someone who has crossed over. There are ordinary grief dreams. There are symbolic dreams. And then there are dreams that feel different. People often describe them as unusually vivid, clear, peaceful, real. The loved one may appear healthy. You may speak, you may embrace, you may simply look at one another, and when you wake, the emotional quality remains. Within mediumistic traditions, these are sometimes described as visitation dreams. We do not need to force every dream into that category, but we also do not need to dismiss meaningful experiences simply because they occurred while sleeping. Dream states have been considered spiritually significant across many traditions. Hindu philosophy has explored different states of consciousness. Buddhist traditions have developed practices around dreaming and awareness. Wiccan and esoteric practitioners have long worked with dreams for intuition, divination and spiritual communication. If you dream of someone you love who has died, write the dream down. Notice how it felt. Notice what was said. Notice what was not said. Do not rush to analyze every symbol. Sometimes the gift of the dream is simply that you felt close to them again. After someone dies, many people report unusual experiences. A familiar fragrance with no obvious source. A song appearing at exactly the right moment. A repeated symbol. A sudden feeling of being accompanied. A light behaving strangely. A photograph falling or appearing unexpectedly. A butterfly, bird, feather, coin, or other object that carries personal meaning. A clock displaying a meaningful time. A sudden thought of the person immediately before something connected to them happens. These experiences can feel deeply comforting. Within our tradition, we remain open to signs, but openness needs discernment. Not every flickering bulb is spirit. Not every bird is a message. Not every repeating number is a prophecy. You do not need to transform every coincidence into communication. A meaningful sign generally brings clarity, recognition, comfort, or a strong sense of personal significance. It does not usually require panic. Spirit does not need you frightened and obsessively searching. Loss can create desperation. We miss someone so badly that we begin searching everywhere. Another psychic, another card reading, another sign, another dream, another number, another message. And suddenly grief becomes an investigation. If you find yourself doing this, be gentle with yourself. You are searching because you love, but you are allowed to stop searching. You do not need daily proof that love continues. If a sign comes, receive it. If a dream comes, treasure it. If mediumship brings comfort, honor it. But do not punish yourself because today is quiet. Silence is not rejection. You are not less loved because nothing dramatic happened this week. Sometimes the continuing bond is not a supernatural event. Sometimes it is simply realizing that the person's love still shapes the way you live. That is a form of continuation too. Grief lives not only in thought. It is often felt physically. The heaviness in the chest, the tight throat, the exhaustion, the stomach that feels different, the tears that appear without warning, the ache that arrives when you enter a familiar room. Reiki can be a gentle practice during grief, not to remove grief, not to rush healing, but to hold space around it. Place your hands over your heart, breathe slowly. Say, I allow myself to love. I allow myself to miss them. I allow my grief to move in its own time. Then move your hands to the solar plexus and say, I release the need to understand everything today. Place your hands over the lower abdomen and say, I remain rooted in life while honoring those who have crossed beyond it. Let the energy move gently. Cry if you need to cry. Be still if you need stillness. Healing does not mean forgetting. When intentionally opening to spirit communication, Protection and discernment are important. Many within our tradition work with Archangel Michael for protection and boundaries. Gabriel may be called upon for communication, spiritual messages, and clarity. Raphael may be invited when grief needs healing and emotional restoration. You may place an angelic sigil on your altar if that is part of your practice. Before opening yourself, say, "May this space be protected. May only communication aligned with love, truth, healing, and the highest good enter here. May anything confused, harmful, deceptive, or unwelcome remain outside this sacred space. May I receive only what I am prepared to receive. May I remain grounded in my own body and spirit." Then, just breathe. You do not need to fear the spirit world, but you should respect it. A doorway used consciously should also be closed consciously. At the end of your practice, say, "I give thanks for any loving presence that has joined me." This communication is now complete. This space is closed. I return fully to the present moment. Then ground yourself, drink water, touch the floor, step outside if you can, return to ordinary life. Rosemary has long been associated with remembrance. It is one of the most beautiful herbs for grief and ancestor work because it carries the energy of memory, protection, clarity, and continuity. Place rosemary near a photograph. Hold it while remembering someone. Use it as part of a remembrance altar. Rose carries the energy of love, tenderness, grief, beauty, and the heart. Dried rose petals can be placed beside a candle or photograph as an offering of continuing love. Lavender brings peace, gentleness, and emotional softness. It is especially appropriate when grief has made sleep difficult or when memories feel overwhelming. Mugwort may be used thoughtfully in dream and intuitive practice, especially for those exploring dream symbolism and psychic awareness. Always work with herbs safely and appropriately for your individual circumstances. Amethyst is deeply connected with spiritual awareness, intuition, dream work, psychic protection, and mediumistic practice. It is a beautiful stone to place near a remembrance altar or keep nearby when journaling dreams. Rose quartz supports love, emotional tenderness, compassion, and the continued bond of the heart. Smoky quartz helps ground us when grief or spiritual experiences leave us feeling unsteady. Labradorite is especially useful for mediums and intuitive practitioners because of its connection with psychic awareness, transformation, hidden light, and energetic protection. Clear quartz may be used to focus intention during prayer or remembrance. You do not need many stones. One meaningful object used consciously is enough. An altar for someone who has died does not need to be elaborate. Choose a small, respectful space. Place a photograph there if you have one. Add a candle, perhaps fresh flowers, rosemary, a crystal, a meaningful object that belonged to them, something connected to a memory. Some traditions include water or food offerings. You may do this if it fits your practice. The purpose of the altar is not to trap someone's spirit. It is not to create a place where they must remain. It is a place of relationship, memory, prayer, love, and intentional connection. When you sit there, speak naturally. You do not need formal language. Tell them what happened today. Tell them what you miss. Tell them what you have accomplished. Tell them what you are struggling with. Tell them about the family. Tell them you love them. Then become quiet. Not every person who dies leaves behind only beautiful memories. Sometimes the relationship was difficult. Sometimes they loved you and hurt you. Sometimes they were absent. Sometimes there was betrayal. Sometimes there were words never resolved. Sometimes death arrives before reconciliation. Spirituality should not force us to rewrite history because someone died. You are allowed to say, I loved you and I am still angry. I miss you and I am still hurt. I forgive some of what happened. I am not ready to forgive everything. I wish we had done things differently. I needed something from you that I never received. That is honest spiritual communication. Death does not erase complexity, and mediumship does not require pretending someone was perfect. Healing often begins when we allow the relationship to become truthful. Many grieving people carry unfinished words. I should have told them. I wish I had apologized. I wish I had asked one more question. I wish they knew I forgave them. I wish they knew I was proud of them. I wish I had said goodbye. You can still speak those words. Even if you are uncertain what you believe about spirit communication, expressing them can be healing. Write a letter, read it aloud, place it on the altar, say the person's name, tell the truth, then become quiet. If an impression comes, receive it gently. If nothing comes, your words still mattered. Sometimes the healing is in finally allowing the heart to speak. This week, if there is someone you wish to remember, create a simple sacred space. Place a photograph or meaningful object before you. Add a candle. Place rosemary for remembrance. Add rose petals or rose quartz for love. Use amethyst if you wish to support spiritual connection and intuitive awareness. Place a small bowl of clean water nearby. If angelic practice is part of your path, add the sigil of Michael or Gabriel. Sit comfortably, ground yourself. Light the candle safely, then say, I create this space in love, truth, protection, and remembrance. May only what serves healing and the highest good be welcome here. Then speak the person's name, say whatever you need to say. Do not perform. Do not try to sound spiritual. Speak honestly. When you are finished, place your hands over your heart. If you practice Reiki, allow Reiki to flow. Then say, love has changed its form, but love has not disappeared. Remain quiet for several minutes. Notice anything that arises, a memory, an image, a thought, a feeling, a sense of presence, tears, peace, or simply silence. Do not force interpretation. When you are ready to close, say, thank you for the love that remains. May you be at peace. May I remain rooted in my life. This sacred space is now closed. Extinguish the candle, touch the ground or floor, drink some water, then journal what you experienced if you wish. One of the most important things we can understand is that spiritual connection does not eliminate grief. You can receive an extraordinary mediumistic message and still cry the next morning. You can dream of someone and still desperately miss their physical voice. You can believe with your entire heart that consciousness continues and still wish you could hug them. There is no contradiction in that. Mediumship may bring reassurance, it may bring healing, it may bring information, it may bring comfort, but grief exists because physical absence is real. We should never use spirituality to tell grieving people they should not be sad because their loved one is still around. That misses the point. The person is not here in the same way, and that matters. Love can continue while grief continues too. People often ask whether loved ones in spirit know about weddings, births, accomplishments, struggles, or changes in the family. Within our tradition, we remain open to the possibility that those in spirit retain awareness of the people they love. Mediumistic experiences frequently include information about events that occurred after someone's death. People report dreams in which loved ones acknowledge new children, marriages, moves, or life changes. Again, discernment matters. We cannot claim complete knowledge of how consciousness functions beyond physical death. Mystery remains mystery. But CNE does not believe death requires us to assume complete spiritual separation. If you want to tell them something, tell them. You do not need proof before you are allowed to love. There is another side to this teaching. Our connection with the dead should not prevent us from continuing life among the living. Your loved one does not need you to remain frozen at the moment they died. You can remember them and laugh again. You can miss them and travel. You can honor your spouse who died and eventually love someone else. You can grieve your parent and still build a joyful family. You can keep their photograph and redecorate the room. You can carry love forward. Continuing life is not betrayal. Healing is not abandonment. Joy does not erase memory. The best way to honor love is often to allow what it gave you to remain alive within you. Tonight, I invite you to sit quietly with one question. If your loved one could hear one thing from you right now, what would you most want them to know? Do not worry about finding the perfect words. What is true? I miss you. I love you. I forgive you. I am sorry. I am doing better now. I wish you could meet them. I finally understand. I still need you sometimes. I hope you are proud of me. Whatever it is, say it. Love does not require eloquence. It requires honesty. May Buddhist wisdom remind you that love can remain meaningful even as forms change. May Hindu wisdom remind you that consciousness participates in a mystery far greater than one physical lifetime. May Wiccan and Pagan traditions remind you that ancestors remain part of the sacred story of those who live after them. May the wisdom of mediumship help you remain open without losing discernment. May your dreams bring comfort when comfort is needed. May your intuition remain clear. May your heart recognize meaningful signs without becoming trapped in the search for proof. May Archangel Michael protect every spiritual doorway you open. May Gabriel bring clarity to communication. May Raphael bring healing where grief still feels raw. May Reiki move gently through the places where love and loss meet. May Rosemary keep memory alive. May Rose remind you that love remains sacred even when it aches. May Amethyst support spiritual awareness. May Smoky Quartz keep you grounded in the life that is still yours to live. May those you love who have crossed beyond physical life know that they are remembered. May the words you never had time to say find their way into the sacred, and may you remember this. Death may end a physical conversation, but love often keeps speaking. You do not have to choose between grieving their absence and sensing their continued presence. The heart can hold both. Thank you for joining me at the Church of New Enchantment. I am Dr. Peter Sousa. May your memories bring warmth. May your grief be treated gently. May your spiritual connections be protected and clear. And may love continue to speak across every boundary we do not yet fully understand. Peace be with you.